Today we have an agenda which not only gives you a Campos, Mr. Campos, there you are. Thank you. Is council member amounts of work have gone into this annual meeting. The staff has worked tirelessly. Plus, we have some members up here that, we can't run the city without them. They're key. And thank you, Dr. Caldera, for your leadership. Do appreciate it. And special thanks to Sandra Postle. She's our city secretary. She organized all the food and drink that's going to sustain us as we do our work this morning. So Dr. Caldera will follow me this morning and giving you progress from the 2024 Town Hall meeting and highlights from her and her staff's annual report from 2024, which is on your table. This report is online, and there may be a few printed copies at your table, which I did see. And then Dr. Caldera will show questions today, so that we want to hear from you through your how to use your cell phone to get on Mentimeter. I also want to let you know that we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Hello out there. Technology is amazing. So for those of you that are participating online, you can send your questions and comments to the chat box, and we'll try to get those answered. Unfortunately, those of you that are online will not be able to vote during the survey, but you will be able to go back online after the meeting and answer the survey questions that way. And I think that'll stay up for at least
probably about 2 weeks, but it'll go up live on Monday.
It'll go up live on Monday for about 2 weeks, okay? Now, we have a lot to cover on today's agenda. We've got 5 topics. Did everybody get a postcard in the mail? Okay, so I know that something here piqued your interest. And we just, like I said, we've got the city infrastructure. Our new planning and zoning director, Susanna Huerta, will give us an update on all of the housing developments that are going on in Mineral Valley. Currently, I think we have about 3 major ones. At Seneca West, Trilogy Grove, and Post Road, Sienna 1 and 2. And lastly, Dr. Caldera will present new information on possibly holding an election on removing the 20% tax exemption for all homeowners at 65 and over property tax freeze. But we did get some new information, so when she presents that, we're probably going to look at it in a little different manner. We will have a citizens to be heard forum at the conclusion of the town hall meeting. Now, citizens will have an opportunity to communicate to your city council any concern, suggestion, or compliment you may have, but we can't take any action and existing policies that relate to that question. But no formal discussion or vote by the council can take place, but we can add it to a future agenda. So, here's an outline of how this meeting will be conducted. The presenters of each topic will present the information without interruption to you, but I was just talking to the manager. We will take your questions during the presentation because it's better to answer them while they're fresh on your mind, right? Then you forget them, and at the end of the meeting you go, what was I going to ask? So we will take them as the presenters are presenting the PowerPoint presentation. So, but again, we want to try to keep within our time frame as well. We are earnestly trying to work at the grassroots level in our community by listening and getting input from you. The citizens are our bosses to make the best decisions. The council, staff, and I are working for you. I congratulate and thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to brainstorm with others on how we can prioritize and shape our future going forward. We do have an agenda item on water and sewer, and then we have it on prioritizing our future needs. So that's very, very important that we hear from you. Let's be respectful of each other and agree to disagree without being disagreeable. Please silence all your cell phones. There won't be any breaks today. So if you need to get up, the restrooms are at the back. Food is at the back. Just quietly get up and refill your coffee, get some more food. And if you want to visit with your neighbor at the table, if you could just step outside in the corridor, we'd appreciate that, just so we don't interrupt and disturb the presenters. So, looking forward to another productive town hall meeting. So glad so many of you could join us this morning. And without further ado, I'll turn over the program to Dr. Caldera. Thank you. Let's give Dr. Caldera a round of applause for her. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
everybody. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us so early in the morning. I was a little hesitant for 8:30 on a Saturday morning, but we've had a really good turnout this morning, so I really appreciate y'all showing up. So last year, our two big topics were trash and housing development. And so the council worked diligently, and they composed a committee, the solid waste committee, to review all the proposals that came in. And so council decided to extend the contract with Tiger Sanitation. And so that's kind of where that item ended, and we're currently in a 5-year agreement with Tiger Sanitation. Next on the list was the housing development. People came out and spoke against and for the housing development, and as most of you know, the housing development did go through. The council did sell the property, and you have probably already seen some movement back there with the clear cutting of the trees and stuff back on that development property. And so you'll start seeing some homes and some streets and stuff go in the near future. We will be giving an update on all of our housing developments here today, and so hopefully if you have any questions in regards to the ones that are currently going on, we'll be able to answer those for you today. Now I just kind of want to take a trip of what we did in 2024. Go ahead and switch to the next page. We of course can't do any of the things that you see in this annual report without the city council. The city council approves an annual budget, and it's the staff's responsibility to make sure that budget is implemented. And so first we have Public Works. Public Works does supplement their budget with grants. And so they made about $3 million last year in grants. Go ahead. Some of the big projects they had last year, we continue to deal with the EPA Bloom project. That's right next to City Hall. If you haven't seen that, please go by and take a look at it. We conducted, of course, the spring and fall cleanup. We did reconstruction of capital improvement projects along Post Road. And of course, we had daily maintenance that we have to continue over the course of the year with all of our parks, right away. All of that has to continue to happen. Go ahead and go to the next one. They did 124 pavilion cleanups. They prepped for 208 events. They did 42,000 linear feet of mill and overlay, and they replaced about 31 sidewalks. Up next is Municipal Court. Municipal Court completed about almost 4,000 cases last year. They filed 3,800 violations. They issued 2,300 warrants, and they had over 106,000 different transactions that happened through your court system. So not only do the court cashiers handle violations and citations that come through municipal court, they handle every transaction that comes through. So any payment, purchases and permitting, anything that would happen as far as rentals of any of our facilities, any payment transaction goes through our municipal court clerks. Go ahead. We had Human Resources. Lisa Hernandez is our Human Resources Director, and I failed to mention Tiffany. Tiffany is our municipal court director, or administrator, and she's the one that runs the court. Lisa Hernandez is our Human Resources Director, and she handles all of the hiring, disciplinary actions, grievances, anything that goes on through Human Resources, all the publications and recruitment. Last year we had a hard time with police and fire. It's a national trend that's going on, and so unfortunately we had a big turnover the last couple of years in regards to first responders. We're not the only city dealing with that. There's lots of municipalities dealing with that, but Lisa handles all of the interviews and recruitment for that. Next is your finance department. The finance department did receive their GFOA certificate of achievement for this year. We have of course adopted the 2025 budget, and we completed our independent audit. The audit for this upcoming year will be presented in the second meeting in February. Go ahead. Your city secretary, Ms. Cassaway, she did about 28. She set up about 28 agendas and minutes. We did 49 ordinances. The big thing with her is she processed 611 open records requests. And so for those of you that don't know what that is, the city has obligations to process what's considered open information. And so when you, the general public, seek information from the city, she has to process that information. Because not everything we have is available to the general public, so she needs to ensure that stuff that needs to be redacted is redacted. We use a software system called SCOIA. Any public information request we have is posted online. So if you would like to see somebody's public information, you're welcome to go online and you can see it, complete transparency, and because that we've released. Next is planning and zoning. Planning and zoning has they've dealt with the developments. We have Senate 1 and 2 with 135 lots, Trilogy with 67 lots, and Seneca with approximately 308 lots. Last year they processed about 1,200 permits. So for those of you that don't know, each house that goes up requires certain permits. So even though they've gotten approval for a project, each individual house needs permits for electrical, needs fire to go through there. There's different things that are required, fencing permits, plumbing permits, HVAC permits. Each house requires individual permits. And you're doing that right now in the planning and zoning office with 2.5 people. And so it's quite a lot of work that you'll see next year. Go ahead, go to the next page. Daniel is our IT. He's running around here today. He handles anything that plugs into the wall, is what he's saying. So anything that goes wrong, that's Daniel's forte. But the big things he did this year is he replaced one of the big servers in the police department. We added some new Patriot machines at the library. And the big one is Google Chromeflex for the library in order to be able to meet the state mandates that are required when somebody searches things online and how it has to be cleared out. And so that was the big thing at the library. The public library, everybody loves the library. Regina's back there. They did 344 programs. They had over 12,000 program attendees. And we'd like to give a shout out to the Friends. The Friends gave $15,000 this year to the library in order for those programs to continue. Go ahead. Again, more library information. The big thing about the libraries, we definitely could not run the library without the volunteer hours that are given to the library. And last year we had 1,285 volunteer hours, and without those volunteers, the library could not function the way that it functions now. And so we really want to give a shout out to everybody that volunteers at the Leon Valley Public Library. The community relations, communication is key with us. You know, we always get, no matter how much communication we do, that's always something we always get told that we can improve on. And so some of the things that we have seen an increase on is we've increased our social media following on Facebook and Instagram. She also was a product of doing our first ever household hazardous waste. We have never held an unlimited household hazardous waste. She was able to get us a grant in order for that to be accomplished. We did have to pay the difference for that, but it was a huge, very successful event. So we'd like to give thanks to Ms. Miranda from the community relations team. Go ahead. Economic development. As you know, Mr. Salinas is our economic development director. He did help a lot this year. We had a lot of transition happen in the planning and zoning department, and so he also played dual roles in that area this year. And so he did have a lot of help with the developments that went in as far as the permitting and dealing with the developers in that regard. He held a job fair. He's been helping with the PEG Fund channel. We're gonna hopefully eventually by the end of this year have a public access channel. You'll be able to get on your TV and access our city council meetings, some interviews with hopefully our businesses, and we'll be having some more communication that way. But the city's never used their PEG funds, and so it was a goal of mine to access those funds in order to increase communication to the general public. Fire and EMS, everybody loves their fire and EMS services. They have been on the move this year. They do a lot of outreach in dealing with the schools and fire prevention. Go ahead. They processed 2,500 service calls. Their average response time is 4 minutes. The fire marshal had 757 service requests. They did over 3,000 training hours. They had over 2,000 EMS calls. And they had 253 motor vehicle accidents last year. The police department, go ahead. There you go. Oh, one more rabbit. We'd like to thank Police Chief Gonzalez. He runs the police department. Your DEA HIDTA task force had 68 arrests, also seizing currency of over $1 million. Our DEA regular task force had 160 arrests, bringing in 1.1 million last year. Go ahead. Your criminal investigations reviewed 1,800 cases, and just for those of you that don't know, you have roughly 30 detectives that are reviewing all of those 1,800 cases.
Our big ones were 9 sexual assaults, 12 aggravated assaults, and 60 DWI cases. We did have some impound highlights. We had 67 vehicles auctioned, but we did bring in $141,000 last year through impound. Just regular police work had 17,000 service calls, and so your police department responded to 17,000 calls last year, which is a huge increase. We've been averaging probably between 10 to 11,000 service calls, and has gone up quite a bit in the last 2 years. Go ahead. The police department completed about 8,000 training hours. We want to make sure that our police are getting the appropriate training they are required by the state for continuous education, so we make sure that is accomplished throughout the year. That is a synopsis, very quick synopsis. This report is online. We do have copies at the table. If you would like a hard printed copy, because you didn't get the one place at your table, we're more than happy to do that, and just let me know. We can have them ready for you at City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Collier. We appreciate it. Before we move on, are there any questions for Dr. Collier on any of the annual report? Okay, thank you. Very quick synopsis. We do appreciate it. Okay, we're ahead of schedule. That's good. All right, so our next presentation is Melinda Moritz. This is very important. It's about our water and sewer infrastructure. I'm sorry? Oh, Dave Denelon's going to do it. Okay, very good. He's our assistant public works director. He's coming on up. How many of y'all know that our sewer and water infrastructure is over 50 years old? Yeah, we got some issues. And so we're going to be talking about that today in this presentation, and we're also going to be looking at a possible rate increase. Just to let you know. Oh, there's Mr. Roscoe. There you go. I introduced you, you weren't there. So there he is. All right. Our City Councilmember Place 4. All right. Without further ado, presentation on water and sewer and infrastructure and water and sewer rates. And Dave Denline, our Assistant Public Works Director, is here this morning. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Thank you for having us. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you for having us on the agenda today. And so we're going to go over the enterprise fund.
Yeah, that's what I've learned.
So, thank you, Mayor. So we're going to go over the enterprise fund and look at our revenues and expenses, and then talk about our enterprise fund maintenance and our capital improvement plan today. So under prudent management practices, we want to maintain a prioritized list of main repairs and so we should continue to build and keep adequate reserves for emergencies and future replacement of our capital. We should continue to review water and sewer rates each year, and we're going to continue applying for grants to help us with these projects. And we're going to continue to purchase water rights for future development. So currently the system, we own approximately 1,900 acre feet of water. And so 1 acre foot of water is about 326,000 gallons. So that's how we measure the water. Leon Valley has a good amount of acre feet that they own. A lot of cities lease their water. So we have also 2 wells. All of the related equipment with those wells. We have emergency generators. Recently, we've installed 2 of those at each water well site. We have a SCADA system which controls the levels of our tanks. And we own about 39 miles of water mains, 43 miles of sewer mains, water valves, all the corporations involved with each service, and about 304 hydrants, 903 sewer manholes, and meter reading equipment as well. We maintain this with a 4-man crew. We also have a utility billing manager, and then we have portions of salaries from other departments that help out. It's truly a team effort. We have a stormwater utility, which is the drainage system for mainly Hebner Creek and Zarzamora Creek. And then we have all of the equipment that's involved with that utility. So here is a map of our water distribution. About 2/3 of the city is on the City of Leon Valley utility, and 1/3 is on SAWS. This is the map of the wastewater system. So we're in charge of all the transmission lines, and then SAWS treats our sewage for us. This is a Leon Valley, the stormwater infrastructure map for the city. And all those purple dots are inlets and storm drains that we maintain as part of the stormwater utility. So no utilities are really the same. Every utility has different needs. We look at our rate and fee structures every year, and we want to make sure that we have a dedicated amount of revenue in our reserve for 3 to 6 months for operating expenses. The rates, the second part of this presentation, Melinda Moritz is going to go over that. So these are our current rates right now. And then we have the Edwards Aquifer fee, we have a water supply fee, TCEQ monthly fee for that. We work closely with the state, and we have a monthly sewer service rate. Minimum bill is $15.08 for the first 1,000 gallons, and then we have a volumetric rate of $6.24. And then we also do the winter sewer averaging, and that is basically calculated between mid-November to mid-February. We do this is a comparison of the water bills for 3,000, 5,000, and 10,000. And we're gonna go over that here in a minute with Melinda's presentation. For revenues and expenditures, this is the fiscal year 23, which was audited. Total revenue is at 5.2 million. Total operating expenses are a little over 3 million, with the operating income of 2.1 million. That was fiscal year 23. So with transfers, the net position at the beginning of the year was a little over 10 million, and at the end of the year was 12.5 million. So some notes about fund reserve. Fiscal year 22-23, for the water and sewer system, we're at 2 million, a little over 2 million. Our yearly operating expenses are a little over 3 million. That equates to about 257,000 per month. So for a 3-month emergency fund, that would be 773,000, or 6 months would be at about 1.5 million. We want to try to keep $1 million in case of any emergencies, and some of that is already restricted, 350,000, and the 1.4 million remains in the stormwater fund, which is for stormwater projects. So it's part of the entire utility. That includes stormwater as well. Expenses, yes ma'am.
Can you just tell us what the 350,000 restricted is for?
I believe that would be for both the water and the sewer utility. So the 350,000.
But what is it used
That's-
for, right? What is it used for? What is it used for?
I think we want to keep that for an emergency as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold that on.
Yes, that 350,000 is strictly for emergencies only. So if a main breaks, we have to go out and repair it, we've got the funds right there, we can come to the city council after the main break and say, hey, we're gonna use some of those funds, would you please ratify our expense? So that's any kind of water main break or sewer break. It is not enough money. It wouldn't even pay for half of the cost of the Saws utility main break at Evers and Wurzbach that ripped up that entire street, took out the intersection for 2 months. It would probably pay for the line itself and not anything else. So we need to up that reserve considerably.
So our 24-25 budget number for expenses is 3.6 million. These are salary allocations that we have in the enterprise fund. And then as far as expenses for the water, the total water supplies are $209,550. This is just showing you how we break up our budget. Operating supplies, repair and maintenance, and miscellaneous, and water conservation efforts as well. For sewer, the total supplies are $53,152, and stormwater is $28,000. We have contractual expenses under water. That number is $633,000, and that includes our samples, anything dealing with our utilities, saws interconnection, and tank inspections, etc. Sewer contractual is at 2.1 million, and 1.7 million of that is for the saws, the sewage treatment that they handle for us. We're in charge of the transmission lines, but that is the contractual under sewer. For stormwater, that total is $156,800. And for capital this fiscal year is 1.2 million. We have 575,000 for water main repair replacement, purchase of water rights 140,000, and sewer mains 500,000. Future expenses, we have a lot of old asbestos concrete pipe or AC pipe, about 20 miles. And so we want to address that as well and get those replaced. We have some existing water valves that are, a lot of times if we have a shutdown and they're passing water, we have to do a larger shutdown. In some areas we have hydrants that are 40 years and older, so we're replacing those as well. And we do about 5 to 7 hydrants a year. Excuse me. So we took all of our monthly service reports and looked at the main breaks that we've had the past 5 years, and we came up with the list identifying where we've had a lot of repairs. And then we've looked at our hydrants in these, the ones that are over 40 years of age. And then we've also looked at areas where there are no sewer mains and we have customers that would like to be connected to the system. And then we've identified the condition and rehab status of each of our storage tanks. Working with our city engineer, we developed cost estimates for replacement. We've developed cost estimates for new projects and looked at replacing our water tanks, what that would cost. And then we also coordinate improvements with our street maintenance program because we don't want to go in and repair a street and then come in the next year and replace the water and sewer. So we want to really look ahead at what we're doing and get those fixed ahead of time. These are, we updated all of our maps and we broke it down by neighborhood. These are very helpful. They're broken down by the type of water main, so AC pipe versus PVC. We have wastewater as well. We've mapped every valve and hydrant, and so it's broken down by neighborhood. And this is really great information to have. So as I mentioned, we have about a little over 20 miles of water mains that are of the AC pipe that we would like to replace eventually, that need to be replaced. We have sewer main about a little over 20 miles as well. So in today's pricing, that total is about $114.9 million. Those are about 2.6 million. They're running about $11,000 per acre foot currently. All of our tanks have been rehabbed. The city has really done a great job of addressing each of these tanks, and we've been able to rehab and repaint all of the tanks. However, the Marshall tank was built in 1937, and so that would be the first one that we're going to be looking at replacement for that. It can only be, the tank inspector told us that that was probably the last time that we could rehab that particular tank. And then we'll look at all these other tanks at that time frame, but they're good to, for another 15 to 20 years of life. So with that total, with water mains, water rights, and the Marshall tank, that is $118.8 million. Future projects, we're looking at the Locker Lane sewer main. That would connect 10 homes. Monte Robles would connect about 45 homes. And then we would look into some dead-end water looping. And those are basically cul-de-sacs that we would try to loop as well. Total future cost, $9.5 million. So going back to the priority, we really identified, we took that big list because that's all, that's a huge number to deal with. But these are our priorities for water, 4.6 million, and then sewer is 22.6 million. So priority, really our top priority would be to replace these water mains and sewer mains and continue with the water rights, so that's a total of 11 million. We borrowed, the enterprise fund borrowed $2 million in 2016 for the 2 new wells, and that debt service is about 105 to 135 each year. We have, the water and sewer rates were increased to cover the debt service for these improvements. And we purchased water rate software to look at the repairs that need to occur versus the revenue that we're bringing in. And we would consider increasing rates again to keep up with the inflation and the cost of living. These are some of our improvements that we've made, and just some, we have, on the upper left-hand corner is the SAWS emergency interconnection. That was a great project. That was part of the water well project. We were able to tap the 30-inch water main on Bandera and bring that straight into the Grass Hill storage tank. So that's really ensures redundancy. Bottom left-hand corner is drilling one of the wells, and then the bottom right-hand corner is the rehab of the ground storage tank. So as you can see, it had some corrosion in there, and all of that was addressed. And in the middle picture is the upper right-hand corner is kind of the final picture for that. For the next 2 years, our project schedule, in 24-25, we replaced a portion of sewer main along Wurzbach, and that was with a CDBG grant. And then we're going to replace sewer mains on the other side of Wurzbach, and the city council just approved that construction contract. So we'll begin construction of that in the next couple of weeks. We replaced a portion of sewer main along Stirrup Lane, and we purchased 105 acre-feet of water rights. For next fiscal year, we were awarded another CDBG grant to replace the sewer on behind Cami Way. And then we're gonna look at that priority list that I just showed you and continue with our water and sewer main replacement program. And then we're gonna we'd like to purchase an additional 15 acre-feet of water rights for 25-26. So for future years, we're gonna continue with our water and sewer main replacement plan that we have in place. We're gonna continue to apply for grants for water and sewer main replacement. We're gonna continue to build our reserves for any emergency repairs. Determine the cost. We're gonna look into AMI metering, which is basically smart meters for the water meters. The current, so we have a 4-man crew, and currently it takes about 3 to 4 days to read the entire city. And with AMI technology, it's much faster, and it also gives us a lot of good data to work with the customers. And so we would like to look at maybe adding a crew member to our existing crew, water crew. Determine the funding sources that we need for replacement and repairs, and continue with our purchase of water rights for future development. So our next steps will be to analyze the current fee and rate structure, and that'll be the next part of the presentation. Propose funding options, and the city council will decide the most prudent option, and then we'll be moving forward to implement that with the approved option. So with that, I will be happy to answer any questions or turn it over to Melinda for the second part of the presentation.
Are there any questions for Dave Demline? Yes, here, go ahead.
There's no microphone back there, or I can walk around with the wireless mic. Or just since we're streaming, I just need people out to be able to see the camera. If you have the question.
Does the proposed rate increase affect people
Oh,
in
it's
San
on, that's
Antonio?
not on.
Can you hear me anyway? Okay.
There you go.
Does the proposed rate increase affect San Antonio water customers?
It's for only Leon, city of Leon Valley. However, the sewer, that would go to also SAWS customers, because a portion of our sewer system is serviced by SAWS.
Would you go back to the page?
Olin, it's gonna be right here, yeah.
You gotta chew on it? Okay. Would you go back to the page and talk about the sewer replacement on East Wurzbach? The east of Wurzbach? Wurzbach is the east and west street, more or less. How are we getting east of Wurzbach?
Well, that's what the engineer basically designated, but, so we did, last year, we completed the line that goes to the Hidden Meadow Apartments, which is on the side where the SAWS plant is. This year, we're doing the other side of the street. So we're gonna do the line that goes into the Vista Del Rey Apartments, and then we're also gonna replace some of the line that goes down in front of Ancira on Wurzbach. So it's a kind of a 2-part Wurzbach project.
Okay, now I ask, in the future, can we use citizen English so we'll know what these projects are rather than engineering terms when we're describing or discussing these?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yes.
I see on
Rocket, yeah.
Use those big words.
We are recording this, so we need to put it on the.
I see,
There, that's much better.
I see on all of these that you're projecting expenses into the future, and I know that water bill going up in San Antonio.
No, it's not. What happened? In your.
wondering what it's gonna cost, of course, we don't know. And are you all also projecting the income that you're gonna receive? There's a lot of new build going on in San Antonio, and I know there's gonna be expenses associated with that for water, for the police and everything, but I'm not seeing projections for that. I know about how many houses are going in, and I'm just saying, ballpark, what the cost of those homes are, and I'm seeing signs up, like at Evers and Seneca. And is that projected into it, so that you can see that, yes, you're spending more, yes, things cost more, but also, you're gonna be getting a lot more revenue. Aren't there total like 550 new, so that's a lot of revenue on those houses for property taxes, and I would like to see that built in here. And then part two, you're talking about, okay, let's raise the expenses because of inflation, because of cost. Well, when inflation goes down and costs go down, which if gas goes to 50% what it is now, that's gonna help all of us across the board. So at some point, you can say, you know what, we raised this because of inflation, but inflation's dropped 4 points, we need to reduce these rates. We always hear about increases, but decreases just don't seem to pass the way along. And is there a point, number three, is there a point in Elliston Valley to say, you know what, we're having our people, reduce their water expense, going into the stages sooner. We have too many people here for our water needs. And I know Hutto's done that. They said, no more new build. So will Leon Valley consider that, so that those of us who already live here and are paying taxes here can continue with as normal as possible way of life, instead of having everything reduced on a routine basis or sooner or for less usage, because the city failed to plan on overpopulation.
Good questions. So, yes, we have taken into account that you're gonna have 500 new homes. The good part about that is the developer is the one who puts in the water and sewer mains and the fire hydrants and the valves. And since they're all brand new with the new materials, those are not going to need any kind of repairs or maintenance, fingers crossed, Mother Nature, for at least a good 20 years. So all the revenue that we'd be getting for water and sewer from those new homes is a positive towards our side. Unfortunately, we don't see inflation going down, because I've already said next year maybe 1% the most. And so in the next presentations you're going to see, we're going to talk about those rates and how we calculate them and what we think our revenue projections are going to be. The other thing that's not certain in the water and sewer world is humans and nature. In the wintertime between November 15th and February 15th, nobody's using water. Everybody's going to a relative's house for Christmas because they're trying not to turn their taps on. And so you get and there's no irrigation. So the revenues in the wintertime are consistently lower than any other time of the year. The other thing that comes into play is, do you have a wet year? Do you have a drought year? We've been under a 5-year drought with the exception of 2021. And so you get a high irrigation. But what if next year we come out of that drought and it rains all year long? Well, then you're not going to be using your irrigation, you're not going to be using as much water. So it fluctuates and it's very hard to calculate. We calculate our projected expenses every year very conservatively, because I want to make sure we make that goal to be able to pay our bills. And what was your third question? We're out of land. You're gonna have maybe 1 or 2 houses in Lakewood, and you've got the corner property at Evers and Huebner is vacant. Seriously, you have very little land left to be able to develop. We can't annex. We are totally surrounded by San Antonio, and they don't give up land. We've tried. Did I answer any questions?
Are there any other questions for Melinda before we go on to the rates? I know, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of information, and it's really hard to capture it and process it, but if you have
Any other questions afterwards, please let us know, okay? So Melinda, if there's no other questions, then we will move on to the rates issue for water and sewer.
So I was quite happy being a dog catcher. I was very happy. And don't make me grow up and have to calculate rates. Not fair. So in this one, we're gonna study the rate study scope. We're gonna examine our current rates. We're gonna look at our assumptions and projections. We're gonna do a rate proposal as was requested by the city council. And then we're gonna show you some other options and then do some preliminary examinations of those options. We have been working on rates now for the last 3 or 4 months with the city council, trying to determine what our needs are and what the rates need to show in order to repair some of the system. So the city, well, like I said, working with the engineer, trying to evaluate our existing rates for sustainability and potential rate adjustments to cover system operating costs. We recently developed a capital improvements plan, which has a potential to require an additional $500,000 per year to each of the water and sewer budgets once it's enacted. So it's $1 million total a year. Here's your current water charges. Right now you pay $11.76 for a 5/8 inch meter. And then we go by a tier system. So if you use between 0 and 3,000 gallons, you're paying this. 3 to 6, you're paying this, and so on. For sewer, residential services, for the first 1,000 gallons, you're paying $15 minimum. And then anything over that is $6.24 per 1,000 gallons. So the city requested presenting an average residential water bill. The average customer here uses about 5,000 gallons a month. Most of y'all have a 5/8 inch meter, some of you have a 3/4 inch. There are fees that are not noted in the last table we showed you that are accounted for in the ones that are coming forward, and that's the Edwards Aquifer availability fee. They used to charge us $88 an acre foot, now they're charging $90, so that went up this year. And then the TCEQ fee is 5% of that total bill. So here's what you generally would be paying right now if you're using 5,000 gallons a month. Your total bill would be about $76. So if we do our projections based on that, last year we billed 301,245 gallons of water. We have 2,643 total meters, and then on the sewer system we have 2,518 total customers. And the reason there's a difference there, we have a lot of neighborhoods that are still on a septic system. People in Monty Robles Park, people on Locker Lane, people on Sawyer Road, so they're not billed for sewer. The revenue from the meter fees are calculated over here on the right. And this is from the meter data that we collected. So the revenue from water is $444,000, and then from the sewer it's $455,000. The current rate projections, we had a revenue estimate of 1.992. The actual sales came in at $2 million. What we budgeted this year is 2.1, and that does take into account those new homes. The new homes, even though there's 500 of them coming, they're not all gonna be built this year.
Right.
It's gonna take 6 or 7 years for those developments to be fully built out. So the usage is calculated based on the average cost per 1,000 gallons for 9,500 gallons of usage. And what that's showing you is that we really try to be conservative. If you take all of the gallons that we build and divide that by the number of total meters we have, it comes to about 9,500 gallons per month per meter. And so that's $5.14 per 1,000 gallons. So the first proposal that we took to City Council, there's 2 sides to the water bill. One side is your fixed fee, so that's your meter availability charge. If you charge everything in that fee, you would be guaranteed to bring in a certain stable revenue every year. We break it up. We put some of it in availability, and then we give the customers a break and say, if you use less water, here's this bill. If you use more, here's more. And so it's always difficult to say, do you want to put the full charge on the availability of it? Do you want to spread some of that out into rates so that the customers are not so affected? It's very hard to do. Really rather be a dog catcher. So our goal is to ensure that we have all of our fixed costs. We've got to pay the personnel. We've got to run the wells. We've got to have chlorine. All those fixed costs are usually put into the availability charge. Our not so fixed costs, those can go into the, tier system. So if you did look at that on this first proposal, it would have brought your, existing availability charge from $11.76 to $44.91. You would not be able to turn on your tap. The sewer base would go from 15 to 75. Now, we did offset that by lowering the usage fee, that $3.56 you pay per 1,000 gallons, and then going up from there. Lowered that down to 50 cents, so that took some of the hair off of that, but woo. So the current sewer charge structure has the first 1,000 gallons of usage included in the base rate. They have recommended that we change that just so that all usage is paid for, so you don't get anything for free. So in the first proposal, the lowest bill would have gone up 250%. The average bill, remember we're at the 5,000 gallon mark, would have risen by 60%. After the city council decided no, that's not gonna work, they came back and requested our city engineers to try raising the meter fee and the usage charge by 2% annually over a 5-year period of time, so that you're not all stuck with one big hike at one time. And then try to match the water usage tiers to SAWS's tiers. And then, of course, raise the EAA fee so that we get our money, we pay that charge through. So here's what happens if you do that. You can see our 0 to 3,000, here's SAWS 0 to 4,000 gallons. And it goes up, and here's your base rate here. Year 1 would be at 12, year 2 would be 12.24. So it's not a big difference. The problem with this scenario here is that these gallons don't match. And what ends up happening, you get this projection of revenue, but you see how it goes down in year 1, it goes down in year 2, it finally starts to come back up, and we finally make progress in year 5. And that is exactly due to the gallon difference in the tiers. So here's what would happen. Here's your percentages here, and you can see where it starts falling off at 3,500 gallons, 4,000 gallons, and here we are at our average user at negative 2.7. So the blue is your current bill. This would be your year 1 bill going up, and you can see where that difference is. So it doesn't work if we change over to the SAWS tier. So the other options that we can do is to just keep on using our existing usage tiers, evaluate a percentage annual increase, keep the rates as current, and add a capital improvements fee. It'd be an initial flat figure based on your usage, or utilize SAWS usage tiers and then adjust our usage charges to better match the existing billing. And then of course, we evaluate annually anyway. So if we used our existing tiers with just a 2% increase, then here's your base rate right now. Year 1, it would go to 12, and then at year 5, it would be $12.98. And then you can see the difference in the gallon increases over time. This one's a lot easier to tolerate. And this is the 2% increase for the proposed sewer rates. So right now your base rate is $15.08. It would go up to eventually in year 5 to $16.65. Your base gallon usage, volumetric is 624, it would go up to 688. Much better than the 250% or the 40%. But that's keeping our tiers. And some people have said, well, it's very confusing, that SAWS has their tiers, and Valley has our tiers. It doesn't seem to bother people very much, so I would recommend if you did this, don't change your tier system. So here's just a sample. Here's your existing and your total here. By year 5, your total went from 7608 to 9097. That's over a 5-year period. That's a 20% increase. It's a dollar amount increase of $14.89. Over 5 years, that's not bad. Now this is what it is right now compared to SAWS and then with our 5-year increase. So right now we're already over SAWS. Here's ours, 7608. Here's theirs, 6333. There's a lot in this that isn't shown. They have a volumetric charge on your water supply that goes up as your pews go up. So this is just base. SAWS also has a customer base that is vast and large, so they are able to get economy of scale whenever they're doing anything. We're tired, we have 2,600 meetings. So here's the projected revenue. Right now, existing is at 1.9 and 2.14. If you go to year 5, it raises each one of these by that. So you're looking at 637,441 in the revenue difference. Here's the other option. Keep the rates as they are and just add a capital improvements fee. It's a flat fee. It would be $15,676 for the water, $16.55. Now that's on your already having a bill, and it's for both. So really, that total is what, 30 some odd? The lowest bill would be raised by 120%. The average bill, which is 5,000 gallons, would be raised by 43%. That doesn't look good to me. The other option is keep the rates, charge for the sewer usage, like we said, but add a capital improvements fee that's based on your usage. This one's more tolerable. This one would be $1.63 per thousand gallons, and the sewer would be 88 cents. So that change is only 26%. Right now you're paying 76. CIP fee would raise it to $95.99. And the reason I like this one better is because this would show up on your bill as a capital improvements fee. It's better for transparency. You can say, okay, you charge this much. This is going into a separate line item account, and then you can see what projects we take and what money we use for those projects out of that specific account. The rest of the money that's coming out of your bill would go towards our operations and maintenance. So that's my favorite. And here you can see the blue line is your current bill. The year 1 bill for the CIP would get us in. We have no reduction in our percentage increase. So here's the revenue projections. If you did that flat fee, we would be getting 500,000 for the water, 500,000 for sewer, and that would be $1 million total. Now, what does that cover? That covers that priority list that we showed you in the last presentation, where we needed 4.6 for just priority 1 in water, and we needed 5 million, I think it was, for sewer, which makes up $1 million. So we could at least get our priority 1 in water, but it covers all 8 of our priorities for this year in sewer. So sewer's easier. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions? And I think you all had those questions.
Yeah, any questions on the sewer? Yes.
I'm single, so I don't have the sewage usage that the household of 2 or 4 or 6 would have. And so I particularly dislike the sewage thing because in the summer, because of a less than ideal foundation, I have to water a lot in order to stop my house from cracking. There's no sewage associated with that. And I don't know how you're going to differentiate that. I felt like we've done a good job of it doing the winter averaging, because this time of year I don't water as much. I do still water some in November because it's so hot. But to me, people who are low income homes and therefore sewage users are going to get hit with this more than, say, a family of 4 or 6 who really become more sewage users. Be better off doing the survey question after we have this printout. I was sitting here looking through everything I had going, where is this versus want to make notes? And then I was told, this just got finished this morning, it's understandable you don't have printouts, but all these, and I'm an accountant, looking at all this stuff is, your eyes go crazy. And I think that trying to get us to do a survey today, you're not gonna get good results, and then later on, people are gonna be unhappy because they didn't have time to review and analyze it prior to doing a survey. I mean, how can we survey something and make a recommendation, something we don't really understand, and it went through too fast, not talking to Linda, but just you can't absorb all that without sitting to look at it.
This is just a preliminary. This is not set in stone. They're not making decisions. I've given way too many options right here for everybody to do. And like being talking.
So we are gonna go through a couple of survey questions. You will have the ability, this survey will be put online. So if you don't feel comfortable taking the survey today, you're more than happy to take the survey later. It will be posted on Monday. And it will have all the PowerPoints attached to the survey in order for y'all to be able to do that. It will be taken as separate polls though, so I'll present them to council. One is the town hall meeting results and one is the online survey as we did last year. There is a QR code at your table. If you raise your hand and you need assistance, my staff will come up and help your table. If not, you can go to menti.com. When you get there, there is a code, and the code is 62831938. And so the code is posted up there. If you need assistance, again, please raise your hand. My staff will come around and assist you in logging into Mentimeter before we get started. So I will give you a few minutes to get onto Mentimeter. It will be for the survey. There will be some survey questions. Each of the presentations, with the exception of one, I think, doesn't have survey questions today. But this is just to get a gauge.
If they don't want to do it today and they want to do it on Monday, you can't do it twice.
Correct. So the one on Monday, you can do the one on Monday. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to do it today. You can do it on Monday.
But I mean,
If they do it today, they. But we'll have the passcode on the top.
Crystal, I would say you'll see the logo.
You should be able to see the logo. If those of you tried to log in prior to me hitting present, you're going to have a slide that says goals and objectives. You need to hit the refresh button on your phone. It should have this logo that says Town Hall Meeting. All right, is everybody? You don't need, no, so some of y'all may not need to put in a code. I think with Android, Android users, you have to put in that code, different phones, but if you're on an iPhone, it should almost take you exactly, it should take you there. So it should take you directly to the link. Some people have some privacy, safety things on their iPhone, and sometimes it requires you to put in the code.
Because they haven't actually hit the
Uh-oh, Jenny, I'm like,
I sent him already, he's go back, trying to fix it.
so that if it's making you sign in, it should ask you for a code.
So you see the seal, you just need to wait for us to present questions.
Everybody should have the logo sign that says Town Hall Meeting. See, on the phone, you should have that there. If it's asking you for a code.
If you see the seal, that means your phone is ready, we're just waiting for the questions to be asked.
Did you get the?
As soon as they post the question, that street will change the question that they're asking.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Looks like everybody's there.
All right. The first set of questions are going to be demographics. All right, so you should see what is your age range. So please put in your age range. There you go. We're starting to see some live results. You should be able to click. If you need help, just raise your hand. I have chiefs back there that can help you. We've got library, she's good at helping people. We've got Tiffany back there, so if you need help, please just raise your hand. They'll come to you. There should be a slide that says age range. You should put in your age. Right.
Access 5421.
Access
6, sorry, 5. Yeah, only one number. Access.
I know there's more people here. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. What is your sex? Male, female, or you can choose not to respond? Ladies have it. Either that or the ladies can figure out their technology. Okay. All right. Are you a Leon Valley resident? Yes or no? Ready? Do you rent or do you own your own home? Alright, so lots of homeowners. What do you love about Leon Valley? Just some words. See if we can get some responses. You can put you have a really great city manager. Police, fire, parks. What do you love about Leon Valley? Security. Great CM. Hey, I'll take it. I did. That was probably one of my staff. Community, neighbors, the fire chief, location, great city council, hometown feel, parks, leadership, mayor, facilities, location. Let's see here. Small community, the green spaces. Alright, let's see. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. What Leon Valley services can be improved? And you can't say, don't ask me for more money. What Leon Valley services can be improved? Response time, IT, code enforcement, animal control, city council, police, communication between departments, kennel areas, trash pickup, homeless, infrastructure, water rates, audio, noise, animal control, response time. Letting somebody talk come in.
Stokes Pools. Okay. Move on to the next one. Who is your water provider, Leon Valley or Saws? Looks like we have a lot of Leon Valley water users. All right. Do you support maintaining the current water rate tiers with an annual 2% fee increase over the next 5 years?
Next time we have it, I don't know yet.
That's not the one with the.
Yes.
So who's the water provider?
Huh?
Who's the water provider?
So who's the water provider? So the room is split. You got a majority of people that are Leon Valley users, but then you do have some residents. 1/3 of our resident population is on Saws. And so a lot of the repairs and maintenance that need to be done on the utility side of things, that's what we're looking at, the majority of the increase. But on the sewer side, everybody would be impacted because those rates would go to even though you pay your water bill to Saws, our sewer rate goes to them and they charge you what our sewer rate is. Do you support adopting the Saws water rate tiers while adjusting percentages to maintain revenue, ultimately increasing collections by 2% per year over the next 5 years? Do you support adding a flat capital improvements fee to your meter charge? Remember, there's also going to be a question on volume. So, would you support a capital improvements fee to your meter charge?
Dr. Caldera.
Yes.
Will there be a chart that shows all of them? You can pick 1 through 4 or 1 through 5?
We can certainly put together a chart, right, Melinda, to like make it clear between the questions that we're answering later on. A chart showing like what it would look like for each proposal.
But being able to vote on one
One
slide,
slide.
wouldn't that be great?
It's more of the system, whether or not the system will allow me to do that. But let me work with that and see if we can find one that does that. But yes, that does make sense. Do you support adding a capital improvements fee to the volumetric charge? I'm like, okay.
I'm doing all of them.
Can somebody tell me how I'm doing on time? Okay. All right, would you have supported a rate increase of 250% for the lowest water bill or 60% increase on the average bill in order to get these projects funded? Would you have supported that increase? If council said, you know what, we were gonna go ahead and move forward with that, would y'all have supported that option? Oh, council made their own choice.
How long would the increase last for to pay for the things? Indefinitely?
It probably would have, because this was only the first set of projects, and so we asked council to look at the most dire need, and so we did $10 million, right? 5 million's on the utility, 5 million's on sewer. But you have over $40 million of infrastructure needs on both sides. And so to be honest with you, it would probably continue at some point in order to continue to fund those projects. If you do not agree with any rate increase, what is your suggestion for funding these repairs? And again, the new housing developments that were put in place, those were all calculated in here. We are looking at those new developments with as water funds to come in to help support the people that have lived here longer that have repairs on their infrastructure. So those new developments will help support that, and that was put into the calculations. And so, at least for the next, hopefully 20 years, they'll help supplement that because we're hoping we won't have to do repairs in those areas. And so when their rates come in, that's what we're hoping on. Roka, can you hit the mic over there? Toll roads, I haven't seen that one in a while. GoFundMe. I'm sorry.
Is increasing the sales tax an option?
No. So you've already reached your max of what we can charge in sales tax.
Is that due to state law?
Yes, so you cap out at 8.2 and 25%, and then it's broken up. We have Via in there, we have regular economic development sales, alcohol beverage sales, there's something that.
Want to do a fun thing on you.
Okay.
Fair Oaks Ranch, their debt service for water is $23.85 flat fee. Their sewer is $17.03. I don't think they're there. They also have a capital reserve fund line item at $2.67 per service unit.
So yes, my water bill, I think averages $160 a month. Right, but at the same time, they did come to the public and they said, hey, no, we haven't invested at all in our water infrastructure. And so they were having issues, with their water service. And so. And so can the system be sold? We have looked into that. It would have to go to the voters, and then as of right now, SAWS does not want our system. It is in too dire of a need of repair, that they don't want to take on that debt. So we did ask. There was another water company that was interested in purchasing our water. They offered us roughly about $12 million, but the first thing they said that they were going to have to do is raise your water rates, and then we would have had no control over those water rates. Okay. So we're going to minimize this screen, and we're going to move on to our next presentation. Go ahead, Mayor.
Just minimize that one, don't close it.
Yeah, I'm gonna just read the.
All right. Yes, sir.
Question about the water rates.
Yes, sir.
Some time ago, at a meeting like this, we had a young lady from UTSA give us a presentation of our water rates. And there was one thing that stuck with me. Commercial accounts the different water rates.
Yes, they do.
Is that gonna continue? Why do the commercial rates are lower than our rates?
Well, I'm sure we're gonna. Melinda, the question is, are the commercial rates gonna increase if our rates are increasing? And the answer is yes. Yeah.
Are they gonna increase to our rates? Why should our rates be higher?
No, they have different meter sizes.
Oh, it's a whole different tiered system as well for commercial.
Addressed in the first meeting 5 years ago, or whenever. And it was brought about by a young lady that was a student at UTSA. She was the one that did the presentation, but was here.
Here we go, just a second.
So your water customers, and Melinda can answer this a lot better or more eloquently than I can, but your water customers have different meter sizes, they take different waters, they are on a separate tiered system, and their rates will go up. But you can't necessarily, just like right now, we kind of did that with the trash service, right? Y'all did not get an increase in your trash, but the commercial side got a huge increase in their trash service. And so the business owners and everybody came out to us and said, hey, this wasn't fair this time around. And so we try really hard to make sure we balance the commercial usages with the residential, because your businesses support the other part of your budget. You have your property tax is one portion, but the other big portion is sales tax. And a lot of that is small business owners that operate along Bandera Road. And so if we drastically increase commercial to supplement the residential water bill, you'll have a lot of those businesses leave, and you'll have a domino effect on your overall city budget. So we don't want that to happen either. But yes, their rates will go up, and they have different meter sizes and usage, and different usage tiers.
Are the meter rates higher than ours?
Oh, yes, yes, sir.
The meter rates is, the utility rate is higher than residential.
Go ahead.
Okay, any other questions on the water rates before we move on to the next agenda topic? Thank you for those questions, we really appreciate it. And I know it's a lot to take in. Okay, agenda item number E, City of Leon Valley Priorities and Future Needs. Dr. Caldera will be presenting this, and we are ahead of schedule, it's 9:55. And we will need to use your Mentimeter for this one as well. Okay, thank you, Dr. Caldera.
All right, good morning, everybody. And so one of the things when I took over as city manager that I saw was really a disservice to the city council and to the community is a lot of times what we do is we piecemeal, or previous leadership would basically piecemeal all of the needs. If we had a need in the park, we